I would say that I have a mutual respect for the one called Myron on the show.
The big guy. The tall guy.
Tall guy, yes.
Yeah. Except that he doesn't look you in the eyes at all. Does he have like social anxiety?
I don't know. I think he probably will. He's probably just like, because he's running a show, he's like trying to look at everything. I think he will sometimes. But sometimes he does this thing where he's kind of talking. He's like, he's got that look. He's like very intense. I've got a lot of professional mutual respect for him. And then like on a friendly level, he's like never done anything weird or to me. But obviously I completely disagree with every single thing they say insofar as like their red pill stuff and everything goes. So every time I go into the show, we'll like fight over that. And then we go to dinner and then we fight over that. But yeah.
So okay. So you'll like go to dinner and be like chummy with him.
Yeah, I would say chummy. But like, I mean, yeah, he knows where we stand. Like, we obviously completely disagree on every lifestyle choice with each other. Yeah.
I guess what I'd like your opinion on is where do you see him in his debate tactics? Because what I found last night that was really sad is that we were on the show with 2019 people. These girls have no ability to really form like logical arguments. Most of the time, because they just don't have the life experience. So so I felt like he was almost like a politician where I couldn't, there were so many times where he was going all over the place. Is that his debate style?
So this is what I would say his debate style like roughly is, okay? This is just a thing I do and it's gonna be horrible, but you're just gonna have to bear with me, okay? I draw things sometimes, okay? I feel like he has kind of these, I would call them, you could almost call it like a sales funnel. But I would say that he's got like these like conversational funnels where he has some points for how he thinks like relationships and the world works, whatever. And he has these like the argumentation down really, really, really well. So what'll happen is if you're having a conversation and you kind of like stumble into a topic that he like has a conversation funnel for. So like, let's say for instance, you're arguing and you're like,
well, can I tell you last night with we spent 2 fucking hours on whether or not women cause the death of chivalry. And that was his point, is that women have caused the death of chivalry. That's why men aren't chivalrous anymore. It's your fault, social media, and women don't take it, like there's no accountability with women.
Sure. So like what you're saying right there, if I heard you start to talk about that, it feels like Myron's goal is going to be to funnel you into a conversation where he's talking about how like men are the ones that collect resources. Men have to become, women just are.
Correct.
Men have to work for things. If a man fucks up in life, he's held accountable for his mistake. A woman is never held accountable.
That's
she can fuck up. Yeah. So these are like, he's got this discourse.
Deja vu.
Yeah. He's got this dialogue memorized really well. And if you say anything even peripheral to that, he's going to push that pause button that goes, he's going to say, rewind, hold on, let me say this. And then he's going to lay out that whole thing, basically. And that seems to be like his argumentative style on the podcast generally. Yeah.
Okay. But how would you defeat that? How would you go about?
If you want to, so for people that are really well practiced rehearsing these types of things, you have to have a very comprehensive attack. So like, you can't just say, well, no, I think women have to work too, because he's going to hit you up with a whole bunch of like, men don't give a f how much women make, women are hypergamous, a man is never, rich men don't get with poor women, look at this celebrity, you're going to get buried. If you're going to attack that style, you have to be really well researched on all the things he's going to say, and then you've got to be ready to go from top to bottom. You're never, because have you ever heard of the difference between like a logical argument versus a sound argument? So like a logical argument will be like, if I say like all men are immortal and Socrates is a man, Socrates is immortal.
Okay.
So the argument is logical because it fits all the points, the conclusion naturally follows, but it's not sound. Because you have to fight the premises, right? Not all men are immortal, right? So the issue with a lot of the red pill stuff, and for Myron, all of his stuff is very internally valid. He's got a lot of consistency, and if you try to hit on any point, he'll bring in his whole worldview and crush you. You have to be ready to fight like at very fundamental levels in terms of like, do women need to work? Is it really the case that men are always held accountable and women aren't? You've got to be ready to fight on all those, and then you're probably going to have to reach into data-driven arguments to do it, because as soon as you start to fight there, he'll bring up, oh, well, let's look at family courts. Let's look at who gets drafted in the military. Let's look at who has preferences when it comes to choosing whether to have an abortion or not. Like he's going to go on all these examples, and then you're going to be ready to fight on all of them. I'm sorry, I don't have like, there's not a shortcut answer because Myron is very good at what he does.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to just come in and like slay him with like a single, like, what about this step?
And I think if I'm being honest, right? Like I respect the hustle. I respect the business. I respect certain things about him, but it's like you're bringing on sheep to a show to just farm them. Like it's like so. There's no way that these girls are going to win. So they've made a business out of making these girls look like total fools.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's always my biggest criticism of their model is it's essentially you've got like 2 or 3. You ever seen Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
You have like the heroes, okay? You've got like Gimli, you've got Aragorn, and you've got, not Dumbledore, Gandalf, okay? You've got like the 3 guys, and then you're bringing on like 20 orcs, and every time you're just absolutely demolishing them. It's a bunch of 18 to 22-year-old girls that don't have any debate experience. They're usually not the most educated. They're on a big back foot in terms of popularity. A lot of them have already been drinking a little bit before going on the show. A lot of them are very nervous because they don't have experience fighting in front of a camera. And then a lot of them just don't know these arguments. So you're lining them up and then you're just absolutely annihilating them one after another. So I agree that I think that's a problem with the format. I think it sets them up to always look like gods.
They always look like gods. Yeah. And then they go after the personal attacks if you don't have a logical point to make. Like that's their okay, if you're an idiot or you're over the wall, like you're worthless, you're 35, you suck. And I'm like, what it's just almost like sitting in an alternate universe going, what was happening? Like this is not this doesn't do anything. There's nothing intellectual about this at all. Anyway, I digress.
No, it's a very challenging, it's a very confrontational environment to go into. Yeah. So, and then you also, as a woman, you have the added difficulty of if you fight too much, they'll just kick you off. So it's very, very challenging to excel.
Right, but then the point he was saying was at the end, he said, well, women are not critical thinkers. They don't make logical, sound arguments.
Women are emotional, men are logical.
And my point to him was like, wait a minute, isn't that the whole point of gender dynamics? Don't you talk about roles? Like, isn't it a man's role to be the logical, less emotional guy? So of course women are going to be more emotional because if women are bringing the emotional, I don't know, if they're bringing different colors to the relationship, wouldn't you want them to be more emotional as a female?
In terms of what they want in relationships, that's a whole other... I don't know what you're looking for me to answer there. They're like, that's a whole... We just watched a clip today of a guy, like an ex/current red pill. Do you know who Sneeko is?
Yeah.
And he's basically saying, like, why would I ever want to have anything in common with a woman I'm dating? I'd rather date some woman who's like very young and so I can show her the world and doesn't have any experiences yet. Why do I care like what my woman is interested in? So like these guys, their view of relationships is way wild. The last time I was on the show, we got into an argument because they said if you're married or dating somebody, well, one, they don't believe in marriage anymore because they think the courts are all rigged. But then two, they think that you shouldn't live with your significant other because it'll make you weak and you should live with a bunch of guys instead. So yeah, their view on relationships is very, 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 very wild. So yeah.
So where do you see this all going? And as a woman in this space, because there's a part of me deep down secretly that wants to just provide some sort of logic. And I think I did the best I could as the first time.